fancy microphone.
I mean, but what's the point of it being fancy if it ain't gonna work?
Some of us have found a hack in getting sound in my podcast. Honestly, this is my daughter's literally, this is my daughter's tent.
Oh, that's really good. I usually use what is it? Oh, like a laundry rack.
Yeah, so you're under the sound. It's funny. Do you know my husband's a TV producer? And he's like, that's actually pretty good because it absorbs sound. And I was like, oh, it was the only quiet spot in the house.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you so much I'm recording on Audacity. Well, we could talk about podcasting, Miss Podcaster.
Well, girl, I mean, it's the podcast is a week old. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a week old, but it's been in the making.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to the first few, and you wrote a letter to your newsletter folks on my birthday. I knew you did that on purpose on August 20th.
Of course.
No. But how does it, this podcast, my intention is for you and I just to talk, to riff. There is no pressure for the right or wrong anything to my audience. My audiences are mom audiences. Do you like that? I'm ESL as well. My audience, they're moms, up and coming mompreneurs, maybe into the mindset, really into this journey of no mom guilt. And for my audience, you're not a mom yet, but there's a lot of questions around parenting, what happened to you for you to be who you are, that I actually want to get to. But so the podcasting is a new thing for you. So how are you feeling about it? Is it where you think it was going to be? It's easy, right? Like you just turn on a mic. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like there's, Annie, like I'm an overthinker. So I was just like, okay, and then what about the show notes? And then how are we promoting it? And what's the follow-up and the audiograms? And it's like, I just get into like my head about it being like 1,000. Are you picking up my earrings at all?
No, I love them.
But if they hit the mic, are we good?
Yeah. Okay. I'm grungy, gritty, like it's all good.
Okay.
I might have a kid come vomit on me. There's a kid downstairs with the food. That's okay.
Yes, of course. I hope that happens. I mean, as your husband would say, it makes for great TV.
Yeah.
No, I more than anything, I feel like right now we're in the testing phase, and I really want to have like this really awesome answer about like, oh, it's so great, it's effortless, like, yeah, we're just floating along like a swan. And like what I'm doing right now is just like, we're in week 1 of this podcast launch, and my whole objective is just like, I'm not going to have an opinion about it for another 2 or 3 months. Like, I need to let it settle. Like, the podcast is for the people and of the people. Who cares my opinions on what's there? Like, I want numbers and metrics to show what was the most downloaded, what is resonating with people, what do people want to hear more from? Then I double down on that. So right now, it's like that awkward puberty stage of podcasting. Like, I'm going to grow up one day, but right now I just got to deal with all the zits. So yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think that just doing it is important. And I think for the moms in my audience, it's just like, just do it anyway, do it dirty, messy anyway. But I'll say you didn't just do it. I mean, there's a lot of business strategy that went behind it, in that you have your opt-ins, which I mean, I think that's so smart, in all the metrics. So I wanted to ask you, just as a long time person that's been, you just mentored me in so many different ways, starting in photography all the way through to where like mindset stuff. Between you and JD, who is the one that looks like 3 steps ahead as far as strategy goes? So you had a podcast, but then you're like, you know what? I'm going to link it to a mindset workbook. I'm going to link it to all these things. Like who's that? Is that you all the time?
Yeah, 100%. Like I immediately, like, you can take me to the grocery store and I immediately think of strategy. What's the quickest way in and the quickest way out? Like, that's just how my brain is hardwired. Yeah. And when it comes to holistic experience and like grounding, like soulful grounding purpose, that's JD. Like, we are truly like yin and yang. Mm-hmm. And it's taking the duality of that approach to give like a holistic view of how we should take on new projects and new ventures.
Yeah. Remember when you did Creative Live, mm-hmm. and you brought those people in and they had no idea that you had, you really got them. It was like you had stopped their email. I remember you brought these up and coming.
Okay, wait. Let's bring all these mamas in their minivans right now. Let's bring them up to speed. So what Annie is
No,
referring to,
are you throwing shade on minivans? Because maybe one day.
I am not throwing shade. Girl, I was raised in a minivan. I was like, girl, please, note this. No, no. I'm sorry. If it came up as a diss, I just clapped that on up. Now they have minivans that are so much cooler than the ones I rode in.
Oh,
They
yeah.
now have vacuums
Oh,
in
I
the
got a
back.
vacuum. I got a cooler.
Oh, girl, you're basically driving like the Cadillac version of a minivan. Good for you. Clap that on up. No diss.
Yeah.
So, okay. So where we were, Creative Life, is that what I did is I offered the opportunity for 3 photographers to have a business makeover. But before we actually did the makeover, I had to stalk their email, stalk their social. Like we really took this approach of like basically like extreme home makeover, extreme weight loss. Like in order for us to really understand the inner workings of the business, I had to get real, not the veneer of what people were showing, but like actually get real. And then for the people I had selected, I had them come on and then I revealed my stalking and I revealed that I was a fake client. I straight shopped you and I wanted to get to the real. Okay. So that's where we are, Annie.
Okay. So just so you know, I know that we have a limited time. I know we have half an hour. And so I'm going to give my audience a whole should be a lead up to who you are. So you know that they're going to get the full story.
Perfect.
Okay. So you did. So the strategy behind it is something that you're saying that you did. And so you do the reveal. And then is JD ever like, you're crazy? Why would you do that? Or anything like that with any of your ideas when you've done launches or when you've done strategies and stuff like that? Is he?
No. He's always like, you're not crazy enough. Like he is,
Oh.
totally. He is 100 the big dreamer. And like I like to take his like really crazy, gnarly ideas and immediately go to strategically, what can we do to push the envelope? And he's always like, what can we do even more beyond that? So if there's anybody with their like feet on the ground, pragmatic strategy, that's me. Dreamer, soulful, big idea, 100% him.
So what can you say to the women who may not have the JD in their corner, which is a lot of women in my audience? Can JD do a mastermind? Is that
Okay, so number one, I believe everybody should have a JD, but it might not come in the form of your spouse. It can come in the form of a sibling or a parent or a neighbor or a girlfriend or a fellow mom in the 4th grade. Like you basically just need somebody to push on your ideas. JD doesn't do implementation. Like how, I think it's really important to talk about your ideas with people who love you. They may not ever do it with you, but they can offer insight. And one thing that I always want to be very careful of is that, like anything in life, like anything, everything cuts both ways. So just because I have a business partner who is like this big dreamer and like fully supportive, that is wonderful a lot of the time. And at the same time, it could be a little difficult when you have 2 people who look at the same situation so differently. There's like this push and pull, and sometimes that's not a lot of fun. And sometimes because I am so strategic and so linear and so granular that I could look at my partner and say, I wish you were hardwired a little bit more like me. It's like we can always look at the cup as being half empty or half full. And I'm just thankful that there's anything in the cup in general. And I think if you just take that perspective with whoever is in your life, they can speak into it. And, if JD was exactly who he was, and he also like implemented and did stuff and took an active role like in the doing of it, I would look at that person and be like, well, JD, why can't you be like that person? It's like we can always look at partners and wish that there were something more than they were.
Yeah. No, when I dig around with the moms that either want to stay home and find a way to stay home by being entrepreneurs, a lot of it has to do with other people's opinions. A lot of it has to do with my husband, and so can you speak on that as far as like how you keep your stay in your lane and really not let the naysayers get to you? So you have a great person in your corner, but what about everybody else, all the other moving parts?
I feel so strongly about this, and it has hit really, really, really like, it's something I've been continuing to say for the past few weeks, because it's something that so many people are going through. Number one, we are not islands. Like we have to do life with people, family members, friends, even your children. Like you choose who you do life with. And when
having children is a permanent tattoo on your face, so you know.
Okay. Well, blessings to all those women with those tattoos. Good on you. I also think that people are going to have opinions. either way. If you do your business, if you don't do your business, you are either too fat, too skinny, too old, too young, too brown, too gray, too white, too yellow, too purple. You're going to be too smart, too witty, too dumb, too slow. You are going to be one of those things or all of those things to different people in your life. And guess what? They're going to judge you anyway. People are hardwired to judge. And so I have come at a point in my life to where I'm like, if you are going to judge me without me standing in my purpose, if you're going to judge me without me pursuing my dream, if you are going to judge me without knowing my profitability for my business, why not I just do it anyway? You're going to have an opinion. I might as well do the thing I was put on this earth to do, knowing that your judgment will come good, bad, ugly, come hell or high water. It's coming. So why not I do the dang thing I've been called to do? Because the minute you care about somebody's opinion to such a degree that it stops you from doing the thing you have been put on this earth to do, stops you from standing in your purpose, you are robbing God and the universe of the thing you have been placed to do. So you care about Aunt Sally, you care about your mama, you care about your husband, your children, your boss, your coworker, about what they say you want to do. Bye. You are a visionary. The only people you have to convince is yourself that the vision you see of your future is a reality if you work on it. And your success will silence other people's doubts. That's it. All the words, all your fears, that's not going to silence them. Just shut your mouth, do the work, and show them that you built the future that you saw when nobody else did.
So, amen. So you work with a lot of entrepreneurs for over a decade now. Do you have a sixth sense of who's going to actually be really successful? Have you been like, I knew it, I called it out, I knew that? I just, as a random question, I was always wondering, like, did you ever look at that? Like, okay, this person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I can't really, God willing, one day I'll be able to look at my child and have a very good sense of who that child is and be able to support that child with what he or she needs in his or her best skill set. Now, just because I have an opinion, it's all speculation the way that a parent could. A parent could think, oh, my child's going to be a violinist. But yes, looking at a business owner and saying, are you going to make it? Is that the question?
Kind of, because my point then would be, what are those traits? So we can, again, communicate to my community, like you've seen, like, again and again, it's the women who, let's talk about women, those women who, what are there familiar traits that you've seen? Because you get to see a lot.
Let's get in this. Let's get in this. You can smell success, and they're not on the indicators that you think they would be.
Got it.
Okay. I don't care how many letters you have after your name, PhD, JD, the third, I don't care. That has zero indication. You have your MBA, good luck. There's a good chance you will never be an entrepreneur. You'll be a fabulous number 4, number 5 in a company. Really good chance you ain't going to be an entrepreneur. A really good chance you ain't going to be a CEO. The success qualities, what determines your success, are the people who continue to get up after being knocked down. The person you unsuspect. I will put 100 women in a room, all who want to build a business, and you will see the girl with her Manolo Blahniks and her thin, snake skin leather brief and her very beautiful silk shirt, and she stands up and she talks about how she went to Stanford and how she did iterations at Columbia Business School. She's going to talk about this. And it's the mom who has 4 kids and is single getting government assistance. And she's just like, my whole life I've been knocked down. Watch me get up. Because there's been people who've been coddled. There have been people who've been handed stuff. There's been people who say, because I did this, I deserve that. No, you don't. You deserve nothing. Mm-hmm. Success goes to those who can stand up, who can iterate, who can take a failure and say, I will turn this dirt into the foundation of my next dream. Like, you're not a failure if you start off selling essential oils and then you realize that this is not for you. And then what you get into is fitness. And then you're not a failure if the essential oils and then the fitness routine turned into group coaching. You are not a failure if the group coaching turned into a course. You're not a failure. You're iterating on the thing that you have been called to do. Mm-hmm. So the only people who do not succeed are those people who say, I got into this and it didn't work for me, so I'm just going to go back to do the safe thing. Bye, baby. You weren't cut out for this. That's just true.
The safe thing. No, that's safety is no fun in any which way. I remember I did Path to Profitability. By the way, I went on that page. Are you gonna do it? Is it ever gonna rebirth again?
Okay, so some of the things that Annie's talking about is this course.
Sorry,
It was my first iteration. Annie, you have been down, girl.
girl.
You drank the Kool-Aid before there was water, before there was sugar.
Right? Yes,
You just
I
ate
brought
the
the
bag.
powder. I brought the
Not matter. Exactly.
I went to
Exactly.
restart. I went to restart, girl. I've seen you. Okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, so what Annie's referring to is
Sorry.
legitimately my first iteration of like a pivot away from, a decade-long career as a photographer. And I started consulting and coaching other business owners, and we put out this random idea. I was like, hey, I'm gonna have an event in Los Angeles and we're gonna record this, and you wanna go? And Annie was one of the few people who signed up, who paid me good dang money. And you were a pharmacy technician,
No,
right?
pharmacist.
Or
Technician.
pharmacist,
That's okay.
excuse me.
No, it's okay.
No.
Girl, it's okay.
Okay, you were a pharmacist and you're at this like juncture in your life, in your career. And Annie's asking if I will go back to the course. I'm really precious about that course. It's so weird. I launched it just once.
Yeah.
It was one of the most successful launches I have had in my business.
Yeah.
And like people say, like, when is it coming back? When is it coming back? And I'm just like, I'm so precious about it that I'm like, it's my heart and my soul that if I were to relaunch it, I have to go back and I have to revamp it. Like of this, we launched it 2.5 years ago. Like who I am as a person and my ideology has grown, and I want to make sure that it reflects that. But there's a really good chance that on the inside of Social Curator, what I'm going to start doing is monthly coaching, systematic around building a brand and then executing that on social. So taking those tenets and maybe just looking back at that and expressing appreciation for what that was and saying, it served me well for what it did then. This is where I want to be. And I want to be continuously month over month, because PTP was like a 8-week program.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like 8 weeks wasn't enough for me to be like, where are you at? What have you done? What are you doing? And with Social Curator, it's month over month over month.
Yeah.
Then we have depth and breadth to grow into it.
Yeah. So you also had the Insta 180. So when did you go Insta 180 to social? Well, no, that was totally different. But was it the feedback of Insta 180 that made you go, you know what, people actually need their photos? And we're not really teeing this up for my community again. So we'll have to go back to what you created. So talk about Social Curator, and then when you decided to do like Insta 180 to Social Curator, and then like, how does your brain work
Okay. I love this. Because what we're basically talking about is iterations in your business. So we just spoke about PTP, and Path to Profitability was how to build your brand and market it on social media. So then we got people to that point and they were really excited. And then we had a bunch of lingering questions of, okay, so I've learned how to build my brand and now I know how to market it on social media. But what I really want to know is the biggest platform, that's Instagram. How do I build my brand on the back of Instagram? So then I created an online course called Insta 180, where this was actually furthering really deep in the vertical of Instagram. Really loved it. We launched it multiple times. It was like massive for us. It really put me as an authority in the social media space. And as a result of launching those 2 standalone courses, the things we kept on hearing again and again were, Jasmine, fine, I could build a brand. And Jasmine, I really get Instagram, but I'm not a photographer like you. I don't have photos.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine, I get tongue tied. I don't know what to say on social media. And Jasmine, what about every new iteration and every new social platform? Like, what is my newest marketing plan? Mm-hmm. And JD and I were on a walk, and we started throwing around ideas. I'm like, these are the biggest problems that our people are having. How do I serve them? And we literally, our first thought was, let's create a box every month, kind of like a Birch box full of like props and office supplies, and then like a walkthrough plan of how to take your own photos. But I was just like, wow, that's expensive. We're sitting on a ton of product. And in California, real estate is super expensive. So we started just going through, okay, like what then does it look like? And then we created this idea of, what if we created lifestyle stock photos in a scalable way, that even if people aren't using them on Instagram, they can use them in their keynotes, they can use them in newsletters, they can use them in blog posts. Like, how do we create visual components to get people out there? How do we create captions that are personalizable? So then we started writing these caption templates, like fill in the blank, Mad Lib style thing that you could tailor towards your audience and your business, and this marketing plan. And what we didn't expect was we were putting out these marketing plans, and then we have this Facebook group, and I would be going in the group and I'd be coaching on this like marketing plan. And then people are like, oh, I have other questions. And the thing I didn't want to do is, because our program is very cost effective, which means it's amazing, but I'm not doing group coaching like continuously. And what happened blew my mind is that I go in like twice a month and I do a video and I talk to people and I do coaching. We do implementation. We bring in guest speakers. But what was happening was a whole crop of entrepreneurs who are saying, look what I just did on Instagram, and this is how I got sales. And look what I'm doing in the MLM direct selling space. And look what I've done as a real estate agent. And all of a sudden, it was a whole crop of freaking brilliant hustlers who are out there saying, look at how I'm customizing these tools for my business, and these are the results. And I was watching that like drop the mic. That's when you know that your business is not about you. That's when you know you're standing in your purpose and you see a vision. That I'm not here like, hey guys, how do I make Jasmine Star popular? How do I feel really great about myself? Heck no. This is like, how are you? I am so selfish. I am so selfish. Nothing gives me a greater high than seeing somebody do the dang thing. Like, I do social care because I'm selfish. How good are you, boo-boo? How good? I'm like, hell yes, I got a good day right now. So I mean, that the community turned into what it was, and it turned into something much bigger than me. I was just like, I could do this all day, every day.
Yeah. One of the nights I wrote an email to you because it was after Path to Profitability, because I went to that live event, and I remember my daughter was 6 months, and I was dripping in motherhood, in the sense that, like, I went home to nurse her and all that stuff, and I was only meeting moms. And I remember in that moment, you had said something during that all like forever changed, and you said, you're always your brand. You never, and I was doing photography at the time. I still do a little bit, but I'm going to, go all in on my Avenue Mama, and really standing for moms to get out of her own way and let go of the guilt to create that life she wants, right? And I remember you're like, you never know when you're going to meet somebody for your business. And so right away, I was like, yeah, I can't be like, frumping around everywhere. And so from that moment on, whenever I would drive my kids to preschool, I would be a little bit more buttoned up. And there were so many people that I met in that way, always knowing to be my brand. And so one, I want to thank you for always being such like the person to go to for branding. Like, I think everything that I've learned from branding has come from you. A lot of things have come from you that I'm going to pull out of the arsenal. I was thinking about you today. I'm like, what did I learn from you? One of the best things, it was like going back to, it was like a Ask Jasmine column. I don't even know. It was on your website.
Yeah.
And so said, it was a photographer, a wedding photographer. And she's like, Jasmine, I have this bride, and I'm a little late delivering her wedding photos, and I'm just so busy. I'm so busy in wedding season. And how do I just get her off my back? And you did not let her have it. I don't know if you remember the response, but you're like, first of all, that's on you. Secondly, you never can make somebody feel like they're not the only bride. Like you said, brides only think about themselves. And so never say like you're busy because you're doing work for other people, and find help, stay up till 2, give her something so that she has that feeling that she's important. And I know that I've done that in my business, where if I have a snafu or something didn't turn out, I like over deliver. So where did you learn these service things? Where did you learn how to take care of people at this level of like service recovery, or just thinking about strategically how to take care of people, or how people should, that's so many questions, but how to show up for yourself and your business in such a way that it's always about the other person. Were you raised that way? Was your dad like that to your mom? Was your mom like that to your dad? Sorry, there's a lot of questions in there.
That's a lot of questions, but I'm going to tell you what bubbles up to the top, which I'm like, ooh, you want to go there. Are you going to go there, Jasmine? Are you really going to go there? The answer is I will totally go there, because I'm like, you have to speak your truth no matter how you feel about it, or like the perceptions. So my dad's an immigrant from Mexico, and he came over without an education and floated through high school, didn't go to college, enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, earned his citizenship, and then later sponsored his family. But as a result, he never learned how to read English, or he didn't learn how to read English until he was 25. But at the time when he's starting his family and really trying to be responsible and a good American man, father, all of those things, he took whatever jobs he could. And I think as a result of being looked at as an immigrant, my father speaks with a very thick accent. He's very brown. He's like, whatever you imagine an immigrant to look like, that is my dad. And I think as a result, there was, on a subconscious level or conscious level, a deep desire for acceptance and over delivery. Like you never wanted to be looked at and assumed a certain way. So my dad always went out of his way to give care, even if and when he was like sweeping the floors, in the shipping and receiving department at Los Angeles County Hospital, even when he was cleaning septic tanks for people in these big, massive houses and properties, like even when he was selling bikes at Big Five during the holiday season, he always went out of his way to make it right and do whatever he could. And I think as a father and as a man, that's what he showed us. It was always, you must jump higher, you must run faster, you must shout louder than anybody else in the room because they're going to look at you a certain way. And for better, for worse, what it has instilled with me is I will continue, number one, to make my dad proud, to show that legacy, regardless of people's opinions of me, but still as a woman who's brown, as a woman in general, as somebody who may not be exactly qualified to do the thing that I do, I will jump higher and run faster and shout louder as a result of making sure that people feel loved and seen and taken care of.
What does that feel like? It's super emotional for you when you're saying that.
I feel like race is a really touchy subject. And I feel like the way that my father earned his citizenship is something like I don't really talk about. Like they came over on a 72-hour visa. My grandmother and her 4 children came over on a 72-hour visa. And then she worked in a sweatshop. And then my dad and his siblings just hid in the basement basically for like 2 years before a neighbor was like, why aren't you guys in school? And so enrolled them in school. And they were not supposed to be in the United States for all intents and purposes. And when you talk about that in a very heated, like cultural climate in the States right now, you always worry that there are still children who are hiding in basements. And they're all like, I just sometimes the humanity around it to say like, I am the daughter of an immigrant and like, there's so much value to children and dreams in America. And I don't fight for it either. I see both sides of it. I'm wildly empathetic to like rules and regulations, but also wildly empathetic to giving the chance to people who really, have an offspring who become American and like to now have, like, I don't think anybody would have looked at my dad when he was 24 years old, didn't know how to read, was just doing, entry basic blue collar work, to have, 5 children, all college educated, and have a daughter who's on her way to very much one day employing 100 people. Like that's my future. And so I think I get emotional about that because it's a very emotionally charged subject. And I always just feel like I want to do right by my parents. I want to do right by people listening. I don't want to be polarizing, but this is like my story and my truth. So I over deliver as a result of watching my dad being underestimated and over delivering.
Wow, that was a lot there.
There is.
So I lost my dad and recently, and he was a community man, and he just didn't care about what people thought either. He's a pediatrician, and he's like, I'm gonna have a radio show on Buddhism, and he did that. And he did a lot of really cool things. And I also lost my father-in-law 6 months between my dad and my father-in-law, and I also lost my nanny at the same time. And this is when I reached out to you when I was just like, I don't think I want to do photography anymore. I think I want to talk to moms, and I think I want to build this community, and I don't even know where to start. And I remember you said you just reverse engineer what you want your life to look like. And so I know we have to wrap up, but I'm just having this moment where I have to I want to thank you so much for who you are, the light you shined on me again and again. I don't take it lightly how much you give and the content and all the brilliant advice. I mean, yeah, earlier I shared about like being your brand and all that, but that was more about always never being what I got out of like making sure like I was put together was never being afraid to like offer what you have, never being afraid to show what you had no matter what. And I'm not saying that I don't show up frumpy, but I'm always like, I'm a business owner. I get to do this. I don't have to dispense Viagra anymore. I don't have to like, and I hated that. My parents were a bit different in that their American dream was we're all in medicine. And, my dad was buried not knowing about Avenue Mama. Avenue Mama came out because he died and my nanny died and, 2 miscarriages and my mom got cancer. And I was just like, what the fuck is life all about? And I said, well, how can I help moms? How did I go from a pharmacist to a pretty decent photographer to like, I just want moms to get out of their way. My nanny's 46. She was in El Salvador when she died, and she wanted to wait for her son to go to college before she would like travel again, find love again, find her dreams again. Well, he graduated college and she was buried in the dress she wore to his college graduation, not being able to take her eyes off him to do her thing. So that's my journey, is this like, do the thing. But I think we forgot to answer, like, what are those traits? The women that just get up anyway, right? Like, you just get up when life knocks you over and do it anyway. And I think that you've done that. And I think that I'm doing that in my own way. And so I just want to thank you. And I continue to, be your evangelist and just rooting you on and giving you water as you like run circles around this world. And you're just so special and dynamic. And yeah, I just want to thank you for all that you've done for the millions of people you've reached, and just to stand in your light. And I think your parents are completely so proud of you, and I think you're going to be an amazing mom. Are you scared about motherhood? Like, what scares you?
I'm scared that it won't happen fast enough.
Hmm.
Like, we've been waiting for like this process, and it's been like so long. And just this morning, JD and I were on a walk, and I'm like, oh, we have to do another Christmas without a kid. It's going to be sad. And I don't want to think that way. I don't want to think. So it's like, I know that I will be scared when the child's in my arms. But right now, my only fear is like, when is it going to happen? Like, can it happen fast enough? And I feel like we've just been in a perpetual holding pattern. Like, everybody sees on the outside, like, what business looks like. And like, thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Like, we're moving, we're creating, we're having fun. We don't know the answers. We're making a frickin' mess. We're like, here we go, guys. Like, let's just keep it going. Keep this falling plane from not falling. Like, everybody start waving their arms, and that's fun, and it's exhilarating, and it's awesome. And at the same time, what people don't see is like the 99% of life on the back end. And I think that's the thing right now that we're just kind of like waiting for.
Yeah. Do you have one more minute?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, before my husband, I had a French guy who called off our wedding. He's my fiance, called off the wedding. And I remember feeling really low about that. And like, when am I ever going to get married? And I have a point to what you're saying. And I had one of my best friends who'll say, do you think you're going to like die an old maid? And I was like, no, eventually, at some point. He's like, so do the things you can do now that you can't do once you get married. Like, your schedule is yours. When you have kids, you can't do a lot of things. And I'm sure you hear that, but like, if one more person can tell you that, like, enjoy this silence and dinners. And I'm going to call, probably JD to like leave your eyelashes everywhere. I was like, oh my God, JD did not hold back. And I love it. Because yes, motherhood is amazing. And it's, yes, that there is, like I said, it's a permanent tattoo on your face. All of a sudden, I'm at the mercy of my child literally vomiting on my neck right now. And as much as I'd want to continue with you, I'd be like, bye, gotta go. Right. He comes first in health, right? But as a mom, I have realized that my needs are important, my dreams are important, and I get to validate that. But it becomes tricky. So in the middle of while you're waiting, because you can't control when she arrives, I don't know if you get to pick, but I think it sounds like you're hoping for a girl. Yeah. She will come, and then one day you'll be like, what the F did I do? I had that time where I was all put together, I was doing these podcasts, and I was able to knock this out, and all I want to do is pee alone. Why can't I pee alone? I just want to be alone. Like that.
You know what, Annie? I'm going to pee all day today. I'm like, thank you, Annie Bowman. I love peeing in silence.
Like, literally, there's no hand on the door. There's no kid saying, Mommy, I'm bored. I'm like, 1,000 toys to play with. So that first year is
love that.
After the first year, it's like the honeymoon is over. And but no, I completely understand. I didn't have my first kid till 39, second at 41. So I get it. But you and JD, you guys can go make out, go like
amen.
Go on vacation. You rock. Yes. Because after a while it's all transactional, and keep it alive. So so thank you for your time. I know we went over, but
thank you. I adore you with all my heart. Thank you for being you. Thank you for stepping out. Thank you for standing in your purpose and empowering moms to love their families, take pride in what they do, and also keep themselves first. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Love you. Bye, doll.